Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below this video once it has rendered. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as this increases the live audience, of course, and that in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin. How you doing, Arwin? Good to have you.
Hello, Nathan. Good morning. Very early.
It is early. It is early.
Yep.
When you woke up by a kid at 6 o'clock, by about 9, you're ready to do everything. How are you, Arwin? You good?
Yeah, bit boggled. I had a very I had a good night. Yesterday was fun. I had a little bit more beer in me than usual.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think because of the beer, I woke up this morning with just the most unique dream experience ever. In the sense that I dreamt of unique technology, and it's not letting go what I saw. It's just the most incredible thing, and it's very hard to explain. Basically, what I saw was a different technology that could be used as like a computer screen. It was like a unique video game thing. What I saw, it was very fun with a miniature screen that was locally lit up by some kind of electrical effect, maybe guided by gas. It was just such a unique thing, and yeah, nobody was really. It wasn't like school or something. It was just me and my brother were just casually playing this thing, and it was incredible to behold. It was so much fun to do, but nobody was really paying attention. Like, whoa, this is like a super unique thing. It's like I've never seen anything like that before. It's just one of these dreams that just boggles me. Anyway, yeah, that's very rare that something like that happens.
Well, thank you for sharing
And
it.
that Earth is still flat.
Indeed. Earth is still very much flat.
Yeah.
Hey, Ali B. Good to have you here. Hey, Netty Voyager, Matrix Media, No Globe Zone, NGZ. Good to have you all here. Greg T. Thanks for being here. Dark Star. Hello. New Perspective. Good to have you here. Vane Veen. Hello. Aris 106. Hello. This guy trolling. No, he's just telling you about a dream he had.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm really filled up with this dream right now. It was kind of silly dream anyway, because it was basically like a gamer's dream, like a LAN party with my brother and some other friends and stuff, and I think even like one of my cousins that's not even alive was still in there. Anyway.
Should be able to join. No Globe Zone says, Nathan, I've been trying to join the panel. My name is Isaiah from Chicago, 32. Shout me out. Just click the link. There's a link in the info box. Just make sure you mute the watch page before you do. Bitch. It's all there. Should be working.
He says he's on a mobile device.
Shouldn't matter. You should still be able to join from a mobile device. Might make you download an app, but yeah, you should be able to join. stopping traffic in my Rasta hat. Good to see you.
Anyway, the debate yesterday was interesting and pretty confusing eventually. There's Mark.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
We're on early today.
Yeah. I'm usually never up
I'm
at
on mute.
this time.
Good to have you, Mark.
Sorry?
I was saying hello and I was on mute, so I just said it again. Hello, how you doing?
I'm very well. We were early this morning. Is that for our Australian friends, is it?
Yeah, I just got woken up early. By about a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours of being awake, I'm like, I could be doing a show right now. So I just normally set them up. Depends how early my kid wakes me up.
Yeah. So has anything started?
So what do you know, Mark? Anything new?
Nothing yet. Nothing new today. I'm going to try and look at some lighthouses tonight. Off the southern tip of the Isle of Man. I think it would be better to spot distances in the dark, knowing which lighthouses you're looking at. There's one that flashes a red pattern and one flashes a white pattern, and they should both be visible at the same time, unless we live on the ball.
We can have no clue because you're looking at the other side, aren't you? So we don't really know which ones, what the names are and such.
So I missed that. Say it again.
What are they called? What are the names of the lighthouses?
One's called, I think, Chicken Shack, I think. No, it's not Chicken Shack. It's, let me get it up now. You're on too early, honestly. The Lighthouse of Chicken Rock, it's called.
Sorry, say that again. Chicken Rock?
Chicken Rock Lighthouse, yeah. It's about a mile south of the Calf of Man. And it's, where is it now? It's 144 feet high. Share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I'll just put it up.
That's the fella there.
Chicken Rock. Lovely.
I've worked out a line of sight as well of where it should be. So we'll give that a go tonight. Assuming we've got good high pressure. It's about 35 miles away from the Irish coast.
Oh, it's not actually on land. It's like on its own little island, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's about a mile off. It used to be manned. Can you imagine living there for the winter?
Wow.
Unbelievable. But yeah,
No
we
corner
should
shop, no nothing. Just, you and your 20 or 30 square metres of rock.
Yeah. And I'll be looking at it from Ardglass, a little fishing village called Ardglass. It's quite high though, isn't it? It's 144 foot high, which would be higher than the cliffs that I'll be standing on. I'll be looking up to it.
What's the plan? Go out at night and see if you can catch it.
Yeah, go out at night, yeah, or yeah, and see whether the light penetrates the dirty air.
Yeah, last time I was looking at lights from lighthouses, it was looking at Fresnel zones and things of that nature.
Yeah.
No, Globesound still was mentioning that he wants to join the hangout. I think he's having trouble getting in.
This is the guy on the mobile.
Yeah.
Did you just click the link in the info box, Mark? Mark? You there? He's off to get a cup of tea.
What, me?
Yeah, I just wondered if you just used the link, or did someone share it with you, or did you just click the link?
No, I used the link from YouTube.
So it definitely works.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't understand the argument that the guy yesterday was putting forward about the two heights of the mountains. Ranty gave a good explanation later on, but what exactly is their point?
That one mountain should be higher than the other. I actually spent quite a while yesterday with Anthony, Chris, and Ranty modelling it out in 3D to see how much difference there'd actually be, because it's deceptive. If you try and calculate it using the curve maths at a distance, it gives you a bit of a spurious answer. So it's the only way you can really see how it would work is to model it. So that's exactly what we did yesterday, and the conclusion was almost the same as the conclusion that was given by Philip, who was the first to present this, which is to say it's almost too close to call. And yeah, it is almost too close to call. In both models, they're both basically the same height based on their distance and position. So,
Yeah.
we were looking at it going, it's 5 feet one way, 10 feet the other way. It's nothing. There's nothing in it. It seems like a pointless argument, to be honest. There's virtually nothing in it either way.
Mm-hmm.
You can slightly change the maths and change the prediction slightly one way or the other. It doesn't seem to be a great argument because it's so close to call. You'd have to get into literally measuring that mountain to get it to within 30 feet. And once you've got it to within 30 feet, you could probably then make a call either way. But does anybody have an exact measurement of either of those two mountains? Or is it just Wikipedia references and Google Earth? Because that's, if you're going to argue about the height of St. Bees, and you're talking about 30 to 100 feet, you're talking about 70 feet difference. Well, this is about, a similar sort of difference, but trying to get the parallax difference between these two mountains at 30 to 40 miles away. It's just, I don't know. Whether or not this argument continues, I don't care really, because it seems like a bit of a pointless argument. But we shall see. Maybe people will carry on and say, no, it should be 30 feet higher. No, it should be 30 feet lower, and so on.
And was it a couple of weeks ago, our friend Ruth was asking us to look at those distant mountains, and he was asking, "Are you looking up or down at these mountains?" He didn't actually get to his punchline, did he?
Oh, he's definitely looking up at them. So as you look through that pier, he's at 6 feet. He's on the beach, and he's looking at something that is, I think it was 25 feet high or 30 feet high, the pier itself.
Yes.
Well, if he's looking with the mountains at the midpoint of that pier, he's looking at something 15 feet high, therefore above him. And the line of sight carries on through, halfway through the pier, up to the mountains. So he's definitely looking up to them.
Well, I don't. What's his point anyway?
Well, it's about the cumulative drop. So if you've got Earth as a sphere, then the stuff going further into the distance is going to get further and further and further around the curve, right?
Yes.
Well, that never happens. This is one of Arwen's, strongest arguing points, if you ask me.
I still don't see why they're bothering with that argument, because it's not an argument, is it?
Which one? The cumulative drop argument or the
No,
two
no,
mountains?
you remember the Ruth showed us that picture that we've all seen of the mountains in France, and it's 270 miles away.
Oh, sorry, I was talking at cross purposes. I thought you were talking about Ranty's observation from the beach at Blackpool, and you're talking about the world's furthest observation,
Yeah,
right?
we didn't. No, nobody let Ruth get to his punchline, but I think everybody knew where he was going with it. But I don't understand why he's saying you're looking down at one and up at the other. So what? What proof is that? Either way. Do you not follow what I'm saying?
I do. I mean, my argument would immediately be, well, you're talking about things that aren't really there. You know, you're talking about the difference in height on a ghost.
Yeah.
So who cares? You know, from your perspective, it's a terrible proof because it proves the Earth is flat, because this stuff should be long gone behind the curve, and you've immediately got to invoke magical refraction that you've got no stats on, no data on, no evidence of, and then say, well, yeah, this stuff's all gone geographically, we can't see any of it, it's all long gone behind the curve, but the way it's being loomed up back into your position is wrong on a flat Earth. You're like, what? Okay.
I don't know why they bother with that argument then. Because it's long gone.
Yeah, I didn't really understand why Ruhif presented that picture, to be honest.
No.
It seemed like a bad idea from the start, but if your cognitive dissonance says, no, this stuff is perfectly acceptable to be seen even though it's long gone behind the curve of the Earth, then your cognitive dissonance won't say, stop! Putting this in front of a flat earther is a bad idea.
What?
May have to talk about yourselves. There's a very noisy truck outside, unfortunately.
Okay. Owen, is it Arwen, yes? Are you in the Netherlands, Arwen?
Yeah.
Well, whereabouts?
Sorry?
Whereabouts?
Hey, No Globe, how you doing?
In the middle of it.
Yes.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to have you. New guest. Got on. Brilliant.
Indeed.
I'll have to go back on mute. I'd normally chat a bit more, but you can probably hear the noise in the background.
Hey, No Globe Zone, where are you at?
I'm Chicago, Illinois.
Hi.
How's it going, guys? Arwen!
Could you not be in bed?
Seem to be getting a good connection now.
So what do you know, No Globe?
Well, the scripture completely gives in great detail about this flat and stationary Earth. That's for sure.
Go on. Tell us about it.
Exactly so.
Yeah, I happen to be a Christian myself, so I'm a firm believer in the Word of God.
And is that safe? Is it safe to accept that the Bible is the proof of a flat Earth, or is it just the opinions of guys that wrote the Bible? Their observations.
Well, I guess two sides of the coin here. Let's see. That's a very good question. All I know is that we're seeing things that we shouldn't be seeing.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Hey, if you're a biblical Christian, what do you think about the sun, basically? Because there is a, I think I heard it on Flatwater's. Flatwater had, yeah, he reads Bible pieces every now and then with good videos on it, and he described that that the sun did travel through portholes, as it were. That there appears to be a part where it's described like that, and that kind of fits in with my concept of the holographic nature of the heavens, of which the sun and the moon are a part. What do you think about that?
Well, the sun is something that we really can't put our finger on.
Literally.
It could be a spiritual manifestation of God's power.
Well, it's more than just that, as there's light coming from it that actually gets to touch everything. And
Yeah.
we absorb heat from that light. But spiritual
Yeah.
manifestation, it's definitely a manifestation of some kind.
It's definitely not physical. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's seem to have no trouble concluding that, at least. It's not very easy to even think about what that actually means, it not being physical. So where do you think that the light is coming from? I personally believe that the sun is just basically a visual phenomena, like it is the focal point of from which the light is coming, and that the light could be of extra dimensional origin, basically.
Indeed. It could be a some sort of portal that seems to be opened at all times.
So the story in the Bible where it says that the sun stood still, was it when Joshua was having a battle with the Canaanites?
Yeah, Joshua.
Is that a literal? You believe that was a literal battle, and the sun stopped for 24 hours?
Absolutely. The sun physically stopped, and I believe it was the moon as well, if I'm mistaken. Maybe that's what people have sometimes. I heard something about the time. The current time now is not the actual time. It's actually it's a little push forward, because since the sun paused for I don't know how long, maybe that wasn't taken into consideration.
What? Sorry?
You what? The sun paused?
I said since the well when Joshua stood the sun.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant recently. Okay.
No.
Literacy.
I missed
Yeah,
something.
sure.
Right? No.
During the eclipse or something, maybe. I guess.
No, you made the sun
Well,
physically stand still.
yeah.
It didn't move for several days. Am I right?
I think it was just for 24 hours until the battle
Was it a
finished.
day? One day?
So all we know, our times could be just correct, but just maybe just one day off.
Yeah, that is very fascinating that was described in that book. Very unique event. But I think that, yeah, if one were to have control over the levers of the mechanisms that are driving this system, which I think is, in a way, almost like a gear-like system, then it could probably be done somehow. But yeah, the implications would be pretty heavy, of course. So God, presumably God now being at the reins of that system, is not going to do that just like that, especially in these days.
It's a pretty good account to prove that the Bible is geocentric. Excuse me. The sun stood still. That's what it says in black and white.
Well, like everyone's been saying, I mean, scientism has been just the complete opposite of what's been in Scripture. I think it's a full-on assault on the Word of God.
Well, the word of God should be strong enough to stand up against it if it's the word of
course.
God. I'm not an apologist for the Bible, but I do read it. I've read it all my life.
It all depends on how much of the Word of God you actually get to read, and what parts. Because if you just read about historical stuff, then yeah, it's not going to be that obvious. But this, like the real unique descriptions about the workings of the world itself, that is very unique and very detailed.
What, in the Bible?
Yeah, the parts that do actually describe it.
I think that they're just sort of passing comments by the writers who believed the geocentric system. You know, like the four corners of the earth is referred to, or the stars fell from heaven.
It's very interesting. The Bible never speaks about an outer space or anything happening outside of what's described as far as like the geocentric model.
No, it doesn't. No.
Never does.
Well, I think it's something in Job, is it, where it says that the God hangs the earth on nothing. I think that's just a reply to the contemporary nations around Israel that believed that the earth was on the back of elephants and turtles and all that.
I think personally it's very telling, even in the story of creation, that he creates the earth and the heaven or the sky above, and that after that he starts to basically work with the sun and the moon and the luminaries, stars. That's a separate thing, and there's no mention of other realms or anything.
The Bible talks about something about like the lights will be, or the wandering stars are held for judgment of the day of the Lord, or something like that, indicating that they might be actual sentient beings.
Yeah.
In the Revelation, it says a third of the stars fall from heaven.
That's a third of the angels.
Yeah,
that came down pretty much with Lucifer.
Well, I have been thinking about that in another context. Also, it's now like coming forward in my mind, and that is, what if the star phenomena, all of that stuff we see in the sky, is indeed like an electromagnetic side effect of what is actually in the Earth itself? Then let's just speculate. If 1/3 of these stars would be falling, that could indicate that, like, for example, in a certain period, a lot of stuff could have been mined on the earth so vividly, so much resources could have been extracted that literally it caused like 1/3 of the luminaries to go away.
So
have you ever considered that concept?
Probably gold. I think gold.
Could be. I was just thinking that since the stars, especially the stars, seem to be a very local phenomena bound to be visible from the earth and not higher up, that it may be like a side effect of what is in the earth, that the electrical field, the ether field, may be carrying this effect of
so Owen, are you saying
that it's dependent on the type of resources that are in the earth, and that if you mine all of those, that basically the stars could potentially go away, or parts of them?
So are you saying if there was a switch to turn the earth off and the earth was switched off, would the stars be switched off at the same time?
The electrical field? The ether? Oh yes, if the ether would be turned off, but I think would have a little bit more consequence than just that. I think probably potentially the sun could go out. Something like that were to happen.
Part of my ignorance, but the ether is described as though like water to a fish, correct?
I think so. Yeah, it's a substance that vibrations need to go through.
So in other words, the distance between one object to another, that empty space, is something.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Well,
scientism doesn't believe in.
I wouldn't say it's something. I would say that it's got a name and it's the ether, but it doesn't make it a thing. Just giving it a title, it could be the absence of stuff.
Doesn't energy need to vibrate through a substance, Nathan?
What's up with the stars not disappearing in high altitude balloons? What's all that about?
That they are disappearing?
Yeah, you can't see stars in high altitude balloons, but we see stars fine on Earth.
Yeah, well, I just talked about that for a moment. It's speculative, and that is that the holographic phenomena of the stars are carried basically, well, by the electrical field or the magnetic field, the ether field of the Earth itself. That stars could be a side effect of certain materials within the Earth. And that's why I speculated that potentially a third of the stars falling, as like angels would be falling, could also be referencing a giant period of mining on the Earth that would cause one third of all the stars to go away, to dim down the heavens, because a giant mining operation commenced on the Earth. So,
By whom, though? I mean, maybe ancient civilizations, maybe the Nephilim?
well, how about the Atlantean Age?
No, that is true. That is true.
Giant empire with pyramids everywhere, and just, well, unfathomable technology, including flight, uh, high electrical energy technologies, incredible stuff. Yeah, well, if they would mine like the entire surface of the Earth for a lot of stuff, then that would definitely have an influence on the stars, if indeed there is a direct relation
Nice.
between the star heavens and the materials in the Earth.
Now, Arwen, by hologram, are you referring to maybe a projection of some sort?
Yeah, yeah. When I say hologram, I mean that the stars and all of the heavenly bodies are holographic in nature, in the sense that they are non-physical, that they are light-based phenomena, and they are non-local, which means they only appear in relation to the observer.
Like a rainbow.
Yes,
Like a
exactly.
rainbow, like a rainbow. It also explains why the moon stays the same size regardless of the observer.
Indeed. And also, regardless of the presumed distance towards the moon. Like
Yeah,
whatever its position is, the
250,000.
size will stay the same. And if you go up really high, then the size will also, it won't get bigger, at least. It's even it's even observed that it'll actually grow smaller if you go higher up. So that's very telling. Yeah. So
Do you think the
that's what I
moon's
mean
not
with
physical either?
holographic.
Really?
What?
You don't think the moon's a physical thing?
Yes, I absolutely don't believe it's physical.
Fair
Just
enough.
like all the other heavenly bodies.
I think the sun is non-physical, but I think the moon's physical. I don't think it's as they describe. I don't think it's 200 odd thousand miles away in a physical land onable rock. You know, that's not what I think it is. But I do think it's a physical thing.
Has anyone else seen the moon video of, there seems to be some kind of like a wave going across the moon, like a
Yeah, the lunar
refreshing
wave.
rate?
Oh, the lunar
Yeah, what's
wave.
up with that?
That's a blast from the
Yeah,
past.
yeah, it's a mysterious thing. It also suggests a holographic nature of the moon. And Crow 777 at least certainly doesn't seem to think so.
Well,
And
the
I do
moon,
too. I think that the image of what the moon is like is very suggesting that it is physical somehow, even that it is somewhat like a ball. But I think that is basically our own psyche playing a trick on us, because I think it is just as intangible as all the other heavenly bodies.
interesting.
And it's the exact same size as the sun.
And science always tries to justify that by it being 400 times bigger and 400 times
Yep.
further away.
Yeah, but you can just
Damage
say they
control.
have the exact same angular size, and they don't like it when you say it like that because they have no retort.
For real. Science just seems like a big old bandage trying to cover up just everything and just trying to create some damage control.
No, it's not even a bandage. It's more like a grafted on system. You have just this basic data that's all true, and it's all, yeah, you can figure it out. Like the the angular relations of the globe of the heavens.
It's mathematically
with the Earth.
correct. Mathematically correct. Not true. Mathematically correct.
Yeah. and they can, they just used whatever is already known, and then they grafted onto, they used formulas and grafted things on top of what is known and what is there, and just made it work mathematically. So it's all theoretical. It's all theoretically possible.
The maths.
Yeah, but it's incredible what they managed to build with it, at least.
Yeah, at least. Everything terrestrial, that is.
Science fiction is like the biggest, most amazing fairy tale humanity has ever created.
Well, consider universal
It's so amazing
pictures.
that we actually believe it to be true. Many people.
Maybe that's why one of the commandments says that you should not have any graven image of anything on earth, below earth, or above the earth, because images tend to indoctrinate quite initially.
I would agree with that, yes.
I mean, I walk into a classroom, I see a globe, that's where I live. I don't question it. I don't ask the teacher why, all these things. But if I do ask those questions, I'm completely shut down with the theory of gravity.
Yep. Yeah, I still remember in school. Oh, the Glovers are gonna love this one in chat. But I still remember that when the first time they actually did the whole globe versus flat Earth thing, and they showed me a picture or a picture of flat Earth, basically, like one of those pictures. And I was like, wow, what is that? That is so freaking amazing. And they were like shocked that I had this response. It's like, no, it's not true. You're supposed to think it's stupid. So no, but that's so cool. I want to see it. It's just maybe fantasy or whatever, but it looks really cool. I'm really interested. And they didn't like that at all. So just took it away from me. But yeah, the whole flat Earth, every time I did get to see it, it just fascinated me to no end.
The school system has to be behind all this as well.
Well, the school system is definitely in on it.
Maybe not the teachers, but the
teachers
founders.
that do that specific thing to kids, I think they are in on it as well.
Is there an
Or
incentive,
they're
think?
just
about that. I think
really obedient.
I think it's inherent in the system, so your average teacher's not going to know that what he's teaching is complete nonsense. They're just going to fully and totally believe in it and trust in it and accept it as their reality to begin with. So there's no reason to think that they're...
You have to have a certain level, mental level of just being compliant. To be able to... If you have like a real critical thinking teacher that's very creative, very dynamic, they're not going to like doing that at all.
Yeah, but that they have to fall in line anyway with the curriculum, don't they?
Well, they want to keep their job, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it takes a certain type of teacher to do that process.
But I don't
Arts
think
teacher is not going to do that.
I don't think teachers are deliberately misleading kids. They're just teaching what is inherent, what they have learned themselves.
Yeah, they're just regurgitating what they were taught.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've gone through the indoctrination system, so once they've been through it, they know how to indoctrinate others if they're trained how to do so. But you're never going to apply any critical thinking if you've got a curriculum in front of you that you've got to adhere to and a load of marking that needs to get done and all the rest of the things that teachers have to do. So you're just going to teach what needs to be taught, make sure that they test correctly and they come out with the children, that is, come out with the correct test results. And if they don't, discipline them or educate them, whichever is appropriate. And that's it. You don't spend any time looking through the curriculum going, does this actually make sense? You just read it and accept that the people above you have done a good job. The people with the white coats who've examined how to examine, that they've done a good job of what they do. So you just assume that naturally as a teacher and you just go through the motions and do your job and go home at the end of the night and probably don't give it a second thought.
I remember when I was about 11 at school, the history teacher started to look into evolution and cavemen, and we had to write something or answer questions on it. And I said to the teacher, I can't answer this. I can't do this because I don't agree with it. this was at the age of 11. That was because I had a background of Christianity, and evolution was wrong. But she sort of browbeat me into do it anyway. So with really bad conscience, I remember that lesson. I was writing things that I did not agree with.
Interesting fact, every time I dream about the Earth or even escaping the Earth, like I have abilities to fly, I get very, 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 very high, and there's never a globe, not even subconsciously because I've been indoctrinated. I've never seen that in a dream.
And
That's
when did
funny.
you?
I actually did one time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was. I think it was. Yeah, it was of a very special nature. Basically, it was a dream that I had when I was 17, and I basically like zoomed in incredibly and zoomed out incredibly, and then it did kind of look like a globe, but maybe that was, yeah.
That was the Star Trek influence.
Well, I in that at that time I still had no idea about flat Earth. So hey, if in your mind that is what it is, then that makes sense. So anyway, I want to do a little shout out to Brendan Cook and Ryan Q Vincent, always saying nice things.
Yeah, Brandon was like, "Hey, Aaron's on form today."
Yeah.
Oh, and you are unique, you know.
Huh?
You're unique.
I guess so.
We love you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Some of my dreams certainly seem to be quite
I've gotten so accustomed to you guys' voice.
really.
Yeah, I've been listening to you guys for quite a while now.
So you're in Chicago, is it? Oh, Illinois. Where are you?
Yeah, Chicago.
And have you got any images, photographs across the Great Lakes?
No, none of that. I haven't done my own independent research as far as like photography stuff like that. But the refraction of light seems to be like a great convenience for the globe earthers.
Yeah, it's the refraction card.
Yeah, it's like they take that and they marry it.
Well, you can move stuff. You can change its physical position, or apparent position, I should say. Well, if you can change something's apparent position, things can be wherever the hell you like. Just change the maths. I'll just change this number and it's correct. Oh, right. Oh, well, that's good then. World is as it is supposed to be, according to numbers. Great. Well, that's great. On with life. No. Just changing numbers doesn't mean that what you see in a camera is any different to what you see in your camera.
It's all looming.
Consider the photograph. There was a record of a photograph like over like 400 kilometers of a photographer took, and I don't think they give awards for refraction or looming, but for actual photos of things that are actually there.
Yeah, correct. That's right. The competition, or what the record they're trying to establish, is how far you can see, not whether you can take a photograph of something that's
If it wasn't for atmospheric distortion, I mean, we can see forever.
I don't know if I go as far as forever, but you can see a very long way on a very
Given
clear
the conversion point, everything comes into that conversion point. And it's funny though, because you have to take into consideration, like when video games are created, they're not created on a sphere; they're created on a flat stationary surface.
Yeah, 3D emulators.
Yeah, there's no globe.
They did try doing it on a globe, but
and it failed.
That makes the gamers nauseated. Because it's not real. Because it feels unreal. It feels very uncomfortable using an actual globe system.
It's not what we see and experience from day to day.
It's been tried, but they quickly stepped away from it.
Did they try bringing up the altitude on that globe model to see how the horizon dips down and curves and falls and doesn't rise up to eye level?
Yeah, but like you can even do this in current day 3D rendering programs. You can just do this very quickly, very easily yourself. For example, Chris Moncellier, he has one of these programs, and he showed me one of his globe emulation and how that actually looks when you zoom out, how it looks when you stand onto it. And yeah, you can definitely see that curve there. And it gets bigger when you zoom out. So when you go higher up, so it's there, but it's not here in the real world.
Arwen, your picture has that mountain in the middle. Is that the North Pole?
Well, this is based on the, what is it? Yeah, it is based on that map with the central island. Which map was that again? Do you know, Nathan? I forget the name.
Hmm. Maybe those are the four rivers that the Bible describes
Could be. I
coming out of the
think that
Garden of
is more
Eden.
likely. But although, yeah, still have to confirm that it's actually physically there. It's one of those things we still need to do as flat earthers.
It's funny. I see Google Earth and I focus on the North Pole. There's more distortion ocean than actual like ocean. It's like they're trying to hide something.
Oh, at the North Pole, you mean?
Yeah, like there's nothing there according to Google Earth, but the magnetic mountain seems more likable. That everything points to that, and we can circumnavigate.
Maybe.
I mean,
I'm not
east to
too sure
west.
myself, really. I'm not even too sure that the Earth is a disk in that sense, and the Bible doesn't really describe it as being a disk either.
Well,
They
it
say
says
the
that God is sitting
circle
up.
of the Earth, but a circle can mean many things.
It also describes the four angels on the four corners of the earth that hold back the winds.
So where on a circle are four corners on a disk doesn't really make any sense. But
Perhaps the
if the
perimeter
Earth
is
was
a square.
rectangular looping, then it could make sense, because then there would be virtual corners.
Well, perhaps maybe the exterior of the ice wall, Antarctica, when you go further out, has, it's pretty much a circle within a square.
Could be, but I'm not too certain that the Antarctic ice wall surrounds us, like a circle surrounding us. Could be just a wall on one side.
And we have yet to see a 24-hour video of the 24-hour sun.
Absolutely. But there are also other elements about it, and that is that doesn't seem the sun is traveling directly over the equator, because the sun can still be visible from the south, even on the ice shelf. I've seen the photographs of the sun being visible over the ice at the Antarctic. So there's just
Wow.
something about it that, to me, it just says that it's not like the edge. It is not the surrounding thing that surrounds us. I think it's just
Maybe the path of the sun could be drawn out given the deserts, because if the sun's going overhead and there's deserts on the earth, maybe that's the direct overhead path of the sun.
well, I think that basically there is an angular relation, in the sense that the sun goes most overhead and the sunlight seems to come through the most at the equator, and then using that system in a rectangular looping world concept, then at the Antarctic and at the Arctic there should be an anti-equator, a point where it is the lowest.
That makes sense, the whole looping, because the Bible does describe about the sun rising and setting, and then it hurries back to where it's risen from.
Yeah, that's
It hurries
one of those
back.
things. Yeah, I know.
It's quite that's quite indicative of a stationary Earth there.
Well, the rectangular looping system is very much stationary also. It's just a little bit of a mystery as to how far the looping actually goes. Because at least it seems to be looping east to west. It has to be. It doesn't make any sense that you could move from America to Asia and from America to Europe and etc. if it weren't. But there's still a mystery. Is it also looping? from the south to the north. And that
We
kind
need
of
to-
could be. It's still an option, as
We
the
need-
regions seem to be very similar, at least. They're icy, and yeah, how would you really see the difference unless you really knew the territory? And that could make the concept of an Antarctic island, as it were, much more viable. But except when you go over the Antarctic, which would be very, very vast, you don't end up on the other south side of the world, but you end up at the north side of the world. So that would, it remains to be explored by
We need an
by
independent
non-globe
company.
people, by non-NASA individual scientists.
We
And
need-
then we could figure out, is it looping from north to south as well? And then the final question literally remains, and that is there really a dome? Or is it also looping from up to down? And is the dome actually the bottom of our Earth? That is
Have you
above
guys
us?
noticed? You look up in a video game and look at the sky, and there seems to be some kind of like shading, like a shading gradient that kind of like looks like a dome.
I don't know about that. I do know that in the computer games, if they emulate a star sky, they usually just use the planetarium dome system to project that, because that makes it look exactly like the real world. So that is why I personally call the heavens a globe of the heavens, because it seems to rotate as a globe around us. But it's also correlates with the concept as the holographic bodies being at the edge of our vision, which should then all be at the same distance in relation to the observer. But it means that the stars, all of that is like a dome, but it doesn't actually have to mean there has to be a physical dome on which it is projected. So that's why I say I don't know if there really is a physical dome out there.
Darakia.
It's like in a looping, confined world, there doesn't need to be a dome to keep it all contained, because if it were looping, then the loop would be the container to keep up the air pressure. There would be a looping, limited, confined space in which the air pressure would be contained. See?
Interesting. Well, I mean, the firmament does make sense if there's water up there to be held in place, given that the sky is blue.
Yeah, but I don't think, like, have you ever seen the oceans? The really deep oceans? It kind of looks green to me. So just because the sky is blue doesn't mean there is water up there. Although, yeah, on the other hand, hey, if it is looping up to down, then it could be that there is water up there, and that water is the underlayer of water that.
Maybe that was the water used for the flood.
Yeah. Well, think about this. I've been thinking about this, and that is, if it is looping up to down, then the flood water could basically be an extra layer underneath us that is above us, and it's all a matter of just opening up the openings. It would
The
flood
floodgates.
us, and then unplug the next plug so it flows back in the original container. You could do it every time. You could, yeah. Otherwise, where would the water go if it wasn't looping? Then it would just go down, and it would go into this nether realm, never to return. So in this case, it would have like a recycling system, and the gravity would just keep on pulling it downwards, which would make it then eventually come from above again. So, yeah.
Nice. All right, seasons are easily debunked because if the sun is 93 million miles away, a tilt of 24.5 degrees is negligible. Negligible. to have any impact.
That whole explanation doesn't make any damn sense.
It doesn't.
It's ridiculous.
And then supposedly the
Seasons are
sun.
pretty bizarre on their own, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sun the sun rays come in parallel, parallel rays that, close to like 90 degrees. But yet when they try to explain the solar eclipse, all of a sudden there's conversion lines. Like, what's up with that?
Well, I think that the seasons are very special, and I think it correlates with the type of sun, and this is always, it has mystified me always, that there seems to be that when the seasons change, the sun changes, like the way it functions, the amount of light that seems to be coming from there, and the type of heat it changes. It's just a different type of sun. And it's not like there's suddenly all this obstruction in between. There is a bigger distance, which makes absolutely no sense at all. Yeah, like it's not even the sun that's really radiating the heat. So how would distance matter if it is just the light that can travel indefinitely, and especially if there's no absorption by air in a vacuum? It would just travel indefinitely until it hits something, and it would heat up whatever it's hitting. So a distance just shouldn't matter at all.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter
because it seems to be a different sun. Like, however it's working is just different during the different seasons, and that is just.
You think
how come?
You think there's 4 different types of suns for the 4 different seasons?
I think so. It seems to be also described in the Bible, with the whole portals thing, that there's just different types of suns.
Yeah.
But why and how that could technically work is very mysterious to me. Like, how does that work? Is there like a different setting? Is there a different energy setting that just switches or something? I don't know.
Maybe God is behind that regulation.
Maybe, but it doesn't seem to even be that gradual. It's really more like it's a switch from one type of sun into another type. It's not a gradual, it's not a gradient like change that slowly changes into the other setting. That's, it's
shouldn't temperature increase at higher altitude given that you're getting closer to the sun? Why does it get colder?
well, that is explained because higher up. The thing is, the sun, again, literally, the sun does not cause heat. It's the idea that it's a fiery ball of gas. Then like a lamp would have direct radiant heat. Then the sun would have heat, but it doesn't do that. The only thing that's actually creating the heat is the light hitting matter. And up there's not a lot of matter that actually absorbs the light. There's a lot of air, and the light passes through it, basically not releasing its heat. So there's a lot more room around you to cool off, despite the sun being right there, shining towards you. You are the only thing that is absorbing the heat from it, and so in relation, you're cooling off a lot more, because there's not a lot of matter around you absorbing the heat and then sharing that heat with you, which happens when you stand on the Earth.
For some odd reason, that throws me into the 2-slit experiment with the light. Something about that, if you observe it, it's like, if you try to observe it, it's not there, but if you don't observe it, it's there.
While these guys get into the double slit experiment, I'm just going to remind the audience that we have approximately 1 hour left. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it's live, and a link in the info box below this video once it has rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using stock accounts. Please also share the show, as this increases the live audience, and that in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is approximately 1 hour left on this live stream.
Default setting of human consciousness. Like, we can't like not observe, because if we don't observe, we're just not seeing anything.
Well, the funny thing is that it even counts for cameras. So there is, and this now you're getting into quantum mechanics. That's really bizarre stuff. But yeah, even if you point a camera at it, then that camera is considered an observer. And yeah, and why is that? Well, maybe because somebody will eventually look at what the camera recorded and in that way insert their observation retroactively.
That is bizarre.
That's quantum mechanics for you. It's very bizarre how that works. Observation is a very distinct element in the quantum mechanical field, and it is one of the biggest mysteries. It may have to do with consciousness itself, how consciousness has a very powerful alchemical effect, basically, on the surrounding world. Anyway. Yeah.
Nathan's quite quiet today.
Nathan, you're still there?
Perhaps you got a cup of coffee.
You talking to me?
Oh, yeah, there.
I thought you were asking Mark. Mark dropped a while ago.
Yeah. Where did he go?
I think maybe connection problems. Who knows? Maybe he'll be back.
Anyway, yeah, I'm having a great conversation with you, No Globe.
No, thank you. Arwen with Silent J. It's a quite interesting topic, because it's something that's always been in the back of our minds since we were small. Because I'm pretty sure like 90% of kids always ask, like, what happens to the people on the bottom of the globe? You know, we see a ball, we see that it's tilted, but to our perspective, it has an orientation, like up is up and down is down. So what's to say that, you know, people don't fall off? Well, because of gravity.
Yeah, well,
And
what they're basically saying is that if the ball is big enough, then there is no longer any up or down. There's only up and down in relation to the center of the ball because it's so heavy. That is what they suggest.
But a ball's a ball, regardless of how you look at it. And the dip and curvature will be exponentially obvious. Given that the horizon rises to eye level, regardless of altitude, is like that's pretty much all the proof I need.
It's weird how it works, gravity. And still, it's also so hard how to even prove how it's supposed to work. Because, yeah. How can you prove it? How can you prove it if the Earth is the only thing that can actually be proven to be susceptible to gravity, when you can do it in a small scale, except with these cookie informations.
Can you pop yourself on mute? Can you pop yourself on mute if you're not talking?
It's just, I guess you just gotta take their word for it, which I feel very uncomfortable doing.
I still have to see a real experiment that can prove that objects, just by their weight, in a gravity neutral scenario would be attracted to each other.
Another thing that really gets to me, if the flat Earth is so much nonsense, why is it that globe Earths give the time of day to create a rebuttal?
Because it's in the name of science. It's in the name of progress. And they have to
Science.
defend. No, but to scientism people, their concept of the Earth is part of their renaissance. And it implies that it has created all the technology and the society that is now existent. They literally in their minds think that it is because of the globe and all of that science that we have our technology. That's literally the connection that they make.
That's
Just
absurd.
that. That's how they see it. It's like, how can you take away? Don't go back to medieval times because then everything collapses. They can't disconnect the globe from the technological evolution of our kind. They don't see it that it can be possible without.
Huh. I don't know, but the water does not confirm to a spinning ball. It just doesn't. It can't.
Well, it's not gonna lay as perfectly smooth as it does. Like even especially spinning. Like technically, if a gravitational pull would be real, hypothetically, then on a stationary globe Earth, then the water could sit still and evenly stable. But if it were spinning, no way, no way.
There's no
Everything
way.
completely goes out of whack once things go spinning, and you can't counter that. And even the concept of what's it called? Centrifugal force, all of that, it goes in against gravity. It ignores gravity. So the entire balanced system of this globe with the gravitational pull would be completely discontorted because of a spin. It's like they had to make it spin to make the heavens work, as it were. And I guess they're gonna wish sometime that the heaven wouldn't be spinning, because otherwise they could still keep their ball. Because the Earth spinning, it cannot make any sense. Cannot make any physical sense. It's not spinning. Even if it was a globe, it can't be spinning.
The Coriolis effect seems. I mean, when I was studying the Coriolis effect, the spin of the Earth, it seems more of like a conservation of momentum more than Coriolis. If it were true.
Well, I've heard contradicting things about the Coriolis effect, and that it's complete myth, like an absolute total myth, and it is coincidence factor, and it's not a real thing.
A very convenience coincidence.
Well, I think, what they're saying is that, oh yeah, it tends to go more into, the spinning goes more into one direction on the one side of the Earth, and in the other direction on the other side. But I think that's just completely made up. It doesn't actually happen. It's just completely random, dependent on the turbulent situation.
Yeah, gravity can't be that selective. I mean, it just doesn't. It doesn't add up, and it just boggles my mind that people just don't take out the time to just think critically for at least 5 minutes and just, drop everything they've learned and start from scratch. How come there hasn't been an independent
if they
company?
drop it, then they've proven gravity.
Like what's his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson? Yep. It's a pear shape. Okay.
Neil deGrasse Tyson peer-reviewed the Earth. Yeah, I still think that's hilarious that he did that.
So much people on today.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it's okay. 64 now watching, but it's very early. It's very early for this show.
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. over here in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Usually when it's an early show, it starts right about now. So
Yeah.
we started out, yeah, like 10 o'clock my time in the Netherlands. Anyway, yeah, gravity.
Gravity. The G.
Yep, little G.
The seventh letter of the alphabet.
Yeah, you're right. Huh. It's still a mystery as to what that really is to me. Because, yeah, there's a lot of flat earthers that are basically that love to assume that it is like electrostatic force and all that. But I just cannot agree to that. I cannot agree to it because gravity, it is a measurable thing. It is the constant of how fast things fall. And that is just it's measurable through how matter responds in this world, basically. And it's a constant, and it doesn't have any energy that can be measured. And all electrical things, all electrostatic, magnetism, basic electricity, it all has energy, all has measurable fields that decrease over a distance and that increase as the energy is inputted. And gravity doesn't do that. It's completely in opposition to everything electrical. So I just can't agree that gravity is caused in any way by electricity. It's something else. I don't know what it is. I think that if you had to compare it to other forces, it's more likely to be compared to centrifugal force, because yeah, that is kind of the same. It, under the right conditions, it has the same type of constant without any actual measurable force, any electrical residue, that type of thing. But yeah, then poof, that makes it really complicated as to what the shape is. Unless you're gonna drag in the extra dimensional factor or something, say that yeah, we're spinning in the upper dimension, and that's what causes our stationary 3D Earth to push down, as it were. But yeah, getting hyper theoretical. But yeah, I don't think I don't think gravity is electrical in nature, and I especially don't think that it's a natural side effect of matter being pulled toward towards other matter just through its own weight. So what it is just one of those big mysteries. It's my presentation about gravity.
Density and buoyancy, perhaps.
No, but those incorporate gravity. They just look at the formulas. Gravity is literally in their formula. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
I
it's
did not
true.
know that.
Yeah, it's in there. The G is in there. So the thing is density and buoyancy, they are how basically gravity applies to the world. But gravity is the thing that distinguishes up from down, basically, that says, okay, the heavy compared to the light shall be pulled in these two directions, or pulled or pushed. It's not even provable that it's a pull or a push. It's just this is how it will be divided. The light shall go up and the heavy shall go down. That's basically what gravity does, and why and how that works is a mystery. But without those divisions, density and buoyancy would yield a whole different result, because everything would just be floating around, being a giant mess. Everything would blur up. Without the gravity dividing the heavy from the light, everything would be a giant mess.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that I made out, yeah. I can only hear about 20% of what you guys are saying. Occasionally I can hear the odd Neil deGrasse Tyson peer-reviewed joke, but other than that I can't really hear what you guys are saying. So if you're jabbering nonsense or saying something you shouldn't, you can probably get away with it, because I can't really hear you. Can you hear this noise?
You can't hear us?
There's a great big motor right next to me outside my window, literally right next to me. There's somebody cleaning drains or something with a great big
noise
motor.
there. Hey, Mark is back.
Welcome back,
Hey,
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, I went to get myself some bacon butties.
Sorry?
I went to make myself some bacon butties.
Ah,
Oh, that sounds good.
yeah.
Some swine.
I need a bit of a smoking break, so you guys talk for a moment. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
It was nice talking to you anyway.
Yeah, you too as well, Arjun. Auburn.
Did you just did you just do a rumpus on me?
No,
It's
no.
Arwin.
Arwin. That's just I was eating a banana.
All right. Okay.
What, your name is No Globe what? Is it?
No globe zone.
No Globe Zone.
That is correct.
Right, good man. And why are you not in bed at this time of day? It must be early.
I'm sorry?
Where you are. You must be early where you are.
Yeah, Chicago, Illinois, we're about 4 a.m. over here, Central Time.
You've got no bed to go to.
I've been listening to the show for quite a while. I've been dying to join, but I didn't figure it out until today.
Oh, right. So it's your first time today, yeah?
Yeah, but I've been listening to you guys ever since the Olive Man. Good old Olive Man. I loved it. We're not supposed to see it. They're like, oh, but this is missing. No. We're not supposed to see it.
So what triggered your investigation into the flat Earth?
Just observation. Also, that I used to draw, so I understand what perspective is. The perspective cannot be replicated on a globe like that. Perspective, the horizon is always rising to eye level. I mean, that's not consistent with a globe. It should drop and curve exponentially.
Yeah. It's just amazing how we missed it for so many years.
Indoctrination as a child, we never went back to it. We never revisit the question about why do people don't fall off the bottom of the globe. And once you revisit those stains and you unlearn what you've learned, everything just falls apart in their model. It's a religion. It's I mean, may I say it? It's satanic.
Well, you can say that. I'm not really where you are. While I would study theology, I don't believe theology. I think there's a bit like scientism as well. There's so many branches of it. I just can't work it out or draw any conclusion about it.
Scientism. Scientism just seems to be like a pretty much like a neo-Luciferianism. Just pretty much hidden behind complex mathematics and equations that we don't understand. It's like a language almost that you either get it or you don't, kind of. And it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like, things shouldn't be so complex. Like, you should be able to observe something, and by your observation, you should be pretty accurate on what the shape is of anything. I mean, we're saying things that should be obscured, like thousands of feet from the curvature of the Earth. I see bridges miles and miles and miles, and not one architect takes into consideration the curvature of the Earth. Not one. Because if that was the case, then railroads would not function the way they do. No motor, no engine created by man will work on a sphere. It's impossible. Don't talk all at once now. Where's Rumpus when you need him? We need some globetards on here.
Here we go. I'm going to put this past you. I'm playing devil's advocate here. Genesis 1 verse 7 says that thus God made the expanse and divided the waters which were under the expanse and waters which were above the expanse. And that's Genesis, so it was probably written by Moses.
Correct.
So if he was just an ordinary human being without any supernatural beliefs or anything, his observation was that rain comes from above, so therefore there must be water up there. And that this idea that there was a great expanse of water beyond the sky, he was actually just describing rain. Proverbs 8:28 says that when God established the clouds above, similar to the waters above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep. And Psalm 104 verse 13, he waters the hills from his upper chambers. Well, he waters it by the clouds. So the waters above are just the clouds.
Clouds. I mean, I'm still convinced that the firmament is a solid dome, and it does separate literal water from above, given that the sky is blue, from the water of the seas from below. Mm-hmm. Nathan's gonna cut my head off.
Maybe.
Guys, remember in the Truman Show where Truman's asking about being an explorer in his class, and the teacher pulls down a map and says, "We figured it all out. It's all been discovered." And in the chat, we've got Ron Burgundy. He says, "No hidden land, no mystery about the size." It's like basically saying, nothing to see here. Everyone's already done it all for us. We don't need to concern ourselves.
Is it so hard to make a physical representation of where we live at? Why are all the projections distorted? A Mercator projection? I mean, this is ridiculous. Things should be, if it's 5 miles away and it has a circumference of 20 miles, then it should be that, regardless of how you look at it.
Yeah, there's plenty of different representations on the maps. I mean, you were talking earlier about Arwen's avatar and Mount Meru, and that is depicted on... It's definitely there, though, and it's on some maps. You can find depictions of it. That's where, presumably, Arwen's got it from. That's where people know this from, is from maps. Obviously, there's stories about it as well, but the maps is the most interesting one to me. Martin Leitker, Flat Earth British, covered this for quite a long time on his channel. I know he's moved on to other things now, fake history and such, but certainly when he was covering maps, I found that fascinating. Same with Santa. Santa, when I was growing up, Santa was at the North Pole. Now it's Lapland.
Everything points to the north.
Well, it's just interesting that you've got this big lie that you tell to children that, at least for me, was based around the North Pole. Magical things flying out of the North Pole.
Why not the South Pole?
Well, it's not just that. It's just the fact that, that's now changed, but it seems like they don't want any eyes on that particular part of the world. You've got the Antarctic and the Arctic treaties, and, it's often something we discuss, but have any of us been there? Have any of us lied on the ground at the North Pole and looked up at Polaris? No, none of us have done this.
I wish.
Well, I've been thinking about even the magnetics in a rectangular looping Earth concept, and who's to say that there is like a polar point even? Because maybe just like gravity, the magnetics of this world is just a direction, and that there is no pole. That if you just continue moving north, and if it were looping and you end up south, it would just always be pointing north. That could be a thing.
Got Spherical Earth, he says, Polaris is fake now, lol. No, Polaris isn't fake. My point is that a lot of the mathematics starts with Polaris being directly above the North Pole. But who has verified this? I'm not saying it isn't, I'm just saying that I personally haven't gone to the North Pole, lied on my back and looked up and seen Polaris directly above my head to confirm that that is actually the case.
Yeah, and who knows if the globe of the heavens, uh, it does seem to correlate in their angular position in relation to the Earth, but let's just presume for a moment that the Antarctic land mass over there would be on a rectangular looping Earth just as big as the entire known world confines that we know. Then the antiquator, where the Polaris would be straight at the north antiquator, it would be straight above you. Then it could just continue to rotate as you move over the Antarctic or the Arctic, however you want to see it. As you move over that giant landmass that would be just as wide as the entire known Earth confines, it would just continue to rotate another 180 degrees until you end up back at the edge of the South Pole. Could work like that. It would require pretty much for the Antarctic to be, that landmass to be just as big as the entire Earth, just to make that fit. Could work like that.
Earlier in the chat, but thankfully this engine's now stopped and it's just birds cheeping and it's nice now. But earlier in the chat, someone was saying about somebody circumnavigating Antarctica, some 15-year-old from Costa Rica or somewhere. And I seem to remember about 10 years ago, I think her name was McCarthy, another fairly young girl, about 25 years old, who again was apparently circumnavigating that part of the Earth. And she was doing it in like a pedalo, like a no engine, all self-powered. You think, what is it with these young girls in self-powered machines circumnavigating what's supposed to be one of the most dangerous waters on the face of the quote-unquote planet? It just makes no sense that's part of the narrative that makes its way onto things like Top Gear. I mean, that's where I heard about it, on Top Gear, of all places. Yeah, you've got this girl talking about the spherical Earth and circumnavigating that part of it on a car show. So it's obviously it's deep rooted in propaganda. It's just why put that particular part of the propaganda together? Why is it young girls that are doing it?
Or sending Tesla cars to Mars.
I'm sorry, I missed that whole thing, Nathan. What was that?
I was just talking about young girls circumnavigating the bottom half of the globe. Well, I don't really understand that part of the propaganda. That was what my point was. It's like, what's the deal with that? I wouldn't have mentioned it if someone in the chat hadn't mentioned that somebody apparently recently that was only 15, young lady, did exactly that. You think, oh right, I remember that about 10 years ago.
And the BBC cannot be trusted.
Hello, the Rumpus.
Rumpus. How's it going, Rumpus? Speak of the devil and he will answer.
Yeah. Even the concept of circumnavigation, like if you'd say you circumnavigated the Antarctic, it could just mean that you traveled past the ice wall from east to west. It doesn't need to be in a circle. The circle is suggested, but if you just traveled past the ice wall from east to west and ended up at the same spot, doesn't mean that it is an island or that it is even a circle.
Rumpus, refresh my memory. Are you for the globe or for the flat Earth?
Yeah, with that, I'll do another quick link, I think. So we've got about half an hour left on this live stream. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it has rendered. But most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. Please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Massive thanks to all who have done so already. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There is, as I say, about half an hour left on this live stream.
Buy the t-shirt.
Yes, and the mugs. Rumpus, Hollow Earth, maybe?
Sorry?
No,
you
he's
a
all
Hollow
for
Earther?
science.
Oh, science. The like I labeled it earlier, neo-Luciferianism.
You can label it as you want. It's reality. So, Erwin, you were going to invalidate trigonometry, you told me today. And, of course, Rand is completely wrong in his invalidation of my point yesterday. I can show this. He's completely wrong because we're all aware, of course, that he got the scales completely wrong in his diagram, are we? He's got in his diagram, he's got Snæfell being over 20 miles high.
Hiding behind the maths, I say. Everything's about maths. We need to actually be there to prove it.
Reality. Maths describes reality.
No, it worked out.
And of course, Ranty can't do this. I mean, in his diagram, he was whining about the fact that I wanted everything in meters. And of course, because he didn't do everything in the same units, he then ended up with the Snæfell at 20 miles high in his diagram.
No,
Rumpus.
God.
Rumpus.
No, he didn't.
That guy
isn't the
can't
Chicago
do anything right.
Rumpus, why am I able to see things that I'm able to see? They should be obscured by the curvature. Explain.
Okay. Oh well, if you give me an example, I'll sort you out. But I'm quite interested in sorting out Ranty's idiocy from yesterday and the fact that he can't draw a scale diagram. Yeah, he was complaining bitterly about me wanting everything in meters, and then he makes the very mistake that I was avoiding by doing everything in meters. He then draws a diagram with Snæfell being at 20 miles high in his scale diagram. I mean, you could not make this up. Ranty is incapable of doing anything.
You make it.
You can make up the
You
slope
make
though. You
this
can
up
make that
right
up real
here.
fast.
It's not true what you're saying.
It is true.
Complete
His
bogus.
diagram.
No, it's nonsense. No.
His diagram, if it's to scale, I must damn it, I didn't take a screen grab of
Did
his
he claim
diagram.
it was to
But
scale? Did he actually ever claim it was a scale diagram?
His scale diagram.
No. Did he actually claim that it was a scale diagram?
He didn't claim it was a scale diagram.
So why are you attacking this straw man then?
So you're claiming he didn't claim it was a scale
Sorry, do you
diagram?
want to answer my question? Why are you attacking this straw man if he didn't claim it was a scale diagram?
He did, though.
Why do you keep repeating over and over again that his scale diagram is
Are a lot
wrong?
more polite than globe earthers. I'll tell you that right now.
Straw man argument.
He claims it's a scale diagram.
He did claim it was a scale
You
diagram.
claim it's a scale.
Oh, hold on.
See-
No. Let's see where he claims it was a scale diagram.
Why is someone chewing something in the background? Who's this guy who's got no globe's head, has got doing some
Don't worry about
woodwork
my
or something
guess,
in the
Trumpus.
background?
Worry about proving that he claimed it was a scale diagram.
Right, so he didn't. You're saying he didn't claim it was a scale diagram.
So why are you attacking this straw man? I've just asked you this, you idiot. I've asked you it 3 times. Why are you attacking this straw man? Do you not have any better argumentation than to attack a straw man?
So there's no point in drawing that diagram if it wasn't a scale diagram.
So now your argument is that it wasn't a scale diagram, and that's the problem. So we've got a new straw man. New straw man introduced by Rumpus. Why are you attacking straw men?
You're not going to get out of this, Nathan.
Into stuttering within minutes of being on the show. So I've pointed out that within seconds of each other, you've attacked one straw man, followed by another straw man, and now you're stuttering.
It was a scale diagram.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
I don't think he did.
Yes,
we accept what we see, but you have to explain to
us. If you claim he did, let's see you go and get that reference where he says, "Here's my diagram. It is to scale."
Okay, I will go away and get that. Of course, he got the wrong result, and of course...
No. Let's see you go and get a reference for this straw man that I'm claiming you're attacking.
Yeah, hold on, Nathan. I've got another point to make. Even using...
No. You've just spent the last 2 minutes or so attacking a straw man, which I've just completely set on fire in front of your eyes. Then you've started asking about why some guy on the panel's eating, rather than addressing the fact that you have got probably the most pathetic arguments to put forward. In this case, a straw man argument. So you've ignored the point that I've pointed out twice or 3 times, that all you're doing is attacking a straw man. That's a very, very poor argument. Very weak, Rumpus. Very weak indeed. So, maybe, 4 times that I've asked you? Why are you attacking this straw man? I don't really understand it.
I will go and do that, as you asked, Nathan, but also he can't even draw lines on his own diagram, as I can demonstrate here.
Well, go and do that then.
Oh well, yeah. Hold on, I've got another thing that is.
You said
another
I'll
part
go
of
and
this
do
idiocy.
that for over 20 times. So we'll go and do
Yeah,
that.
well, okay,
Don't
but
talk
another
about
thing.
something else
while I'm
again.
doing that, I thought you might like to feast on this. This is
Oh,
the
here we
line
go.
he drew. This is the line that he drew, and he can't even draw on his own what he believes to be a scale diagram. He can't even draw the right position of things, even on his own diagram. This is a thing done by Ruhif. I didn't bother to investigate it as closely as he did. So he can't even use his own diagram properly, put his own values in correctly. And also, because he drew the way he did, by drawing a
That yellow line you're drawing there, that's not 2,002. That's 2,250 feet you're drawing it there.
Let's go to the real world and test this.
2.02
Stop
is
the
a
math.
very small line. It's literally within what that you're drawing it up wrong, man.
No,
It's in this. You think
Right.
we're that dumb?
no, you're that stupid. You're that stupid.
No, look,
No, I think
You're
Rumpus just got
correct.
indoctrinated.
that's
Owen.
not. See the 20 there, the 20.
Yes, that's
The
true.
point
He got
two
the
there,
value
that
wrong as
means
well. Yeah, but
There's
look where
10
he's drawn it.
stripes there between the 20
Okay,
and the
look, let me draw
21.
look, if
The
you draw
point
from,
2 should be 1/5 of one stripe. Yeah.
Right, can you see? I've now put on there where his line is.
Yeah.
Make
Well,
that a bit
put it
thicker.
one
Hold
pixel
on, hold
above that,
on.
and he's
Right.
pretty
We're
much
not
correct.
supposed to see
It's a
anything, Rumpus.
quarter of a stripe.
Right, so let's go and put this
Yeah,
in.
that yellow
Do you know
line
what
you put
obstruction
there,
is?
that should be 2,250
Right, so
feet.
Rumpus,
That's
do you
not.
know what obstruction is?
Yeah, you're just well. I'll cover your thing. I'll be more than happy to discuss with you about hidden things in a second. But
You just let him make his point.
Hidden things. Okay,
Can you,
that's what I'm
hold
looking
on,
at.
can you all
I can see it because it's
shut
hidden.
up? Hold on, just let Rumpus
Put it
make
one
his point.
pixel above that.
Can you
and
not obfuscate
that's where it
Rumpus's
is.
point, please?
See,
Can you just
well,
let him
that's
make his
negligible.
point? All
That's
of you, can
nothing.
you
That's not even.
Owen, be quiet.
just
Can you
let
see where
Rumpus
this
make his
black
point,
line was
please?
put in for the height? And he claims that was 2027. And it's not. It's right on 20. So he didn't even get that right.
No, you put
So
it put it one pixel above there, and it is correct.
No.
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
Look,
0.27. That's a quarter of a stripe. That's pretty much one pixel above that green line you just drew there. Not
Right.
the yellow line. That would be 2,250 feet. Idiot.
I just want to know where the 2,096 feet are
could you
when I
sort
look
out
over.
your microphone? Could you sort out your microphone so you don't bloody blast everybody in the ear with whatever you're doing?
He's on a mobile phone, so.
Well, don't scrape it, for God's sake. So he...
Be nice, Rumpus. Come
You
on.
can remove that silly yellow line there because it has
that
absolutely
is
nothing
where,
to do with it.
I believe that's where, unless it's Ruhif's diagram, not mine, because I think he got the
Well, it's
value
wrong.
And I'll go and do this stupid bloody claim that but the point is, because he's drawn it not to scale, it reduces the effect that he's trying to detect, because it goes from a 1% error that he's got down to something like something about 100th the size of that. Because you draw it like this, you actually reduce the effect because he didn't do it to scale. But anyway, for someone demanding that I go and find out where he says it's to scale, I'll go and do that.
No, but it's correct. The thing is correct.
No, it's not correct.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. If you do the
20
maths, it's
and
out
a
by
quarter
1%.
of a stripe, and you put that yellow line there is at
I don't
2,250.
want to be pedantic, Arwin, but he is correct. When Ranty did it on the fly, live, on my show, he put his line in, and when he's got it zoomed out and he put his line in, he got it slightly wrong. And Rumpus is correct. He's out by 1%. And when you zoom right in, it is slightly off. So I'm sure Ranty, if he was here, would just concede that and say, yeah, okay, I was a little bit off. And it does make a difference. And we've spent several hours yesterday going through it and analysing it and putting it into 3D models to see how much difference it actually makes. I can let you know, it's nothing. There's nothing in it. When Rumpus says it's 1% out with this slight tiny error of putting a line in paint on the fly on a live show, well, yeah, that's really what it comes down to. You've got nothing to work with here. This argument could go round and round and round in circles forever, or just die on its arse.
Yes, but the point, as the maths shows, the difference in the angle is only 1%. So that's why it's important.
I agree.
This math shows here that the difference in the angles of the two mountains is only 1%. And of course, the P900, because you can zoom in so much, you can show that it becomes a large value in your image. The
Sure,
math
but
says
the problem,
that
Rumpus,
North
is
Pole-
that it makes very little difference in both models. Basically, in both models, they both come out to the same height, as far as I could ascertain when we modelled them
you're
yesterday.
wrong. For flat Earth model, North Barul is below Snaefell, which is wrong, of course. And the
I think
P900
it comes out
shows
to,
this.
in one, it's one slightly higher, one slightly lower, but it's like I say, the margin is so tight.
No, it's not.
No,
It's 1%.
I'm just telling you what I went
Yes,
through
but-
yesterday. You don't have to accept it. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying, after looking at it in very close detail, the end conclusion and the start conclusion, I was like, this is going to be too close to call. And when I saw it modelled on the globe and saw it modelled on the flat, they were basically the same. You couldn't tell any difference.
Right,
So now you can assert that one should be within a few feet higher, because I think we boiled it down to 70 feet difference. So you've got a 70-foot difference. Well,
On a
it's
P900,
tiny,
you can zoom in by
absolutely
80
tiny.
times.
70 feet's tiny, right?
You can zoom in on a P900 by 80 times. That's why you can make a 1% difference 80 times bigger. That's why we can see the difference in the photographs. And the math says on the flat Earth model that Snaefell will be higher than North Barul, which is contradicted by the photographic evidence.
I don't think that's the
Therefore, flat
case.
Earth
I think
model is
actually the case,
invalidated.
as was shown in the diagram that Ruhif has adjusted, they come out to exactly the same, which is how they're depicted in the photograph. Basically, exactly the same.
The diagram that Ruhif was showing you is the version of... What's the echo going on there?
Yeah, it's Ranty's. I get what he's done. He's moved the line slightly higher, so when he's chucked in a line live, he's missed by a millimetre, and then when you zoom in, you can see that millimetre, and it makes a 1% angle difference. And I agree when he's making that depiction. However, if you were to adjust it to where he's got it, they both come out at exactly the same height. That's my point. Then when you model it on the sphere Earth, it does exactly the same thing.
No,
so
it
they
doesn't.
basically come out to exactly the same in both models, as far as I could ascertain.
No. On the flat Earth, as I can show here, there's a 1% increase in the angle for Snaefell.
Okay,
That's
I mean,
not
you
what
can.
we see in photographs.
I'm not going to stop you. You can argue about this all day long, but if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of proving that one thing is 70 foot higher or lower than the other, in actual reality, you know, you're going to need to start making measurements that are super accurate of the mountain itself, and we're never going to get down to that kind of detail. It's just not possible.
I think
So
Rumpus is on
I just don't
NASA's
see this
payroll.
as
The
a
photographs-
worthy argument to argue about
photographs-
sort of 70 feet on the top
I mean-
or bottom of a mountain. It just seems crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can argue about it all you like, but for me, it's kind of moot.
Well, on the photograph that we have here of North Barul and
Whose
Snaefell,
photo is
we can
this?
see that North Barul is higher
Whose
than
photo is
Snaefell.
this?
So
On that
we,
photograph, on another one, it's
no,
probably
on,
who's-
no, on the one that Al K did as well.
Right,
which he did
Al
20
K's
meters.
picture. So we haven't
Why aren't the mountains
scrutinised
at an
this
incline
picture
away from
in
us?
any detail, right? And as far as they see, it looks exactly as it looked when we were modelling it last night. They both look basically the same exact height.
Oh, for God's sake, stop scraping, whoever you are.
So yeah, you can see from this picture, in terms of how it models on both, it looks exactly the same, and it seems
It doesn't look exactly the same. The photographs have North Barul being higher than Snaefell. On the flat Earth model, the math says on the flat Earth model, Snaefell will be higher.
Your math
Therefore,
says, but the actual diagram that Ranty made shows that it's not like that. So
The
your math
Ranted
is
diagram is
incorrect.
bollocks. That is
Okay.
wrong.
Well,
No,
we checked
it
it out
worked.
yesterday. I mean, like I say, we went back, checked it afterwards, made sure our numbers were correct, spotted that exact mistake that Rumpus has spotted and went, oh, that's unfortunate, I've missed when I've drawn the line. That was Ronty's attitude. But then we got Chris, got it all modelled, checked it out on both models and went, God, there's nothing in it. So, yeah, you can argue this all you like.
I
But
bet
look
you
at them. Look
Chris
at them in the
Muff didn't
picture.
get the scale
Visually,
right or something,
the audience
because
can make
there's
their own mind
1%
up. As far as the
difference.
audience can tell, Rumpus, you've only got to look at this picture that Al K's taken. You can see they look basically the same. If you're going to argue that one is a pixel lower or one is a pixel higher, then fine. But what
there's
if you
quite
think
a
this is
definite
proof of
difference
something?
visually.
I don't think it doesn't really go
And
over. If you were to demonstrate to this to somebody and say, "Here, look, here's my proof."
Oh, for God's sake, who's scraping? Stop it.
And no
Hey,
globe put
hey,
it on
Ruhif,
you.
how you doing?
Hello.
Good
Right.
to have you.
Are you guys serious?
Well, how much difference can you see? If you can see a huge amount of difference between these two mountains, then fine. But as far as I can see literally on screen now, it doesn't look like there's much in it, and it's the same when you model them. There's nothing in it. But if you want to argue that
Ranty.
there's loads of difference between these two mountains and blah, blah, well, fine, okay, argue it, great, I'll sit and listen.
Do you acknowledge that Ranty acknowledges that there's a noticeable difference?
Well, when he modelled it out yesterday, it appeared
No,
like
in the picture,
Snaefell
did
appeared to
Ranty
be
say
higher
that
in
one
his
was higher
diagram.
than the other?
However, when you've made your correction to it, they come out on the exact same line. They come out at basically the same height, which is
They
what we
don't.
get in the picture.
They don't.
But that's what you've just shown. So Ruhif's adjusted his picture.
No.
That's what he's done. You've presented it. You go back and rewind if you want to check it out, audience members. But in Ranty's picture, the mountain in the foreground was higher in his diagram. And then with Ruhif's adjustment, they come out to exactly the same height. And what do you know? You look at it on screen now, they look exactly the same height.
They
Now, I'm
do
not
not.
going to lie, you model it on a globe and you get the same net result. There's nothing in it.
There is everything in it. The
Oh,
flat
okay,
Earth model
fine.
says
That's what I'm
Snaefell
saying. If
will
you
be
want
higher,
to
and it's not.
extrapolate
Would
that
you
there's
like me to
everything
quote-
in it, and it's a wonderful proof, and this proves that the globe exists, then fine, you know, use it as a proof. Wonderful. Okay, good for you.
Let's quote Ranty.
So Ranty got a point.
He's not
Yeah,
online, otherwise I'd just send him the link straight away, but he's not online, otherwise, yeah, he'd probably be here. He's probably got
He
things
is
to do.
Ranty was completely wrong.
No, he was
Ranty
right.
said
wasn't
And we
completely
even
wrong.
modeled it out. Look,
Wasn't
Nathan
wrong.
just said we even modeled the whole thing out on a globe.
The flat
it was
Earth
the
model
same.
gives.
Oh, yeah, you were there, weren't you,
Snaefell
Arwin?
being
Sorry,
You don't
higher.
Arwin's on the
need to
panel.
get it, do you, Rumpus?
Perfect.
No,
It's
you
the
don't
same.
accept the evidence of your eyes or the maths, and you don't understand what the hell's going on, Arwin. So you're
I
not.
forgot
yeah.
Arwen was part of that conversation. I forgot Arwen was there, actually. So, yeah, Arwen was part
Numbers
of
are
the
your new
conversation for
god,
hours and
apparently.
hours while we modelled it out. So, Arwen's watched this the same as I have. I just forgot.
Oh,
So, yeah.
who's banging away? For
Yeah,
God's
can you,
sake.
whoever that is, be quiet, please?
Yeah, it's no globe zone. He's
Rumpus, why
Oh,
the
sorry,
hell
I'm
did you
a bit
just,
off.
did
I
you
muted the
seriously
wrong
just
person.
mute me?
I muted Oakley. Sorry.
yeah, don't
yeah,
do
accent,
that.
fair
It's
enough.
a bad-
Nathan, you had a hangout last night, the 8-minute one with Ranty. He said twice in that hangout, North Barul is higher than Snaefell in the photo. Do you accept that?
I can't remember exactly what he said. Correct. Whatever mountain he's got modelled,
Okay.
one is higher than the other. And with your
No, not the
correction,
model.
they're the same,
The
right?
photo.
In the photo.
The photo. North Barul is higher than Snaefell.
You can get them to parallax. So again, we modelled this out. If you do go up to the highest point, i.e. St. Bees Head, you can get them to change in terms of their parallax. You have to get that high, about 350 feet. But from the ground, I don't know where this particular... That's why I asked whose photo it was. I don't know the details of the height
Let's
this
use
is taken
Alkay's
from.
photo, which we know was taken from 20 meters.
I've no
And
idea
that's one-
how high
that's
this is
the one.
taken from. None.
Okay. You can watch last night's mini hangout again and see that Ranty twice says that North Barul is higher in the photo than Snaefell.
Okay?
Okay? We agree on that? Okay.
Well, without checking,
Have you guys
maybe.
done
I'll
the
concede
math?
it. If you say so, fine.
Okay. Have you guys done the math?
I haven't, but it was done on screen yesterday with Ranty.
No, he didn't do maths.
In your hangout? No, he drew a crappy picture. Actually, bring up that photo.
He
Arwen.
measured it with lines, with measurements,
Yeah,
actual
bring up
Crappy.
my,
visible
bring up my
measurements.
yellow.
Crappy.
That kind of works better
See, this is it,
than
Arwen.
some
You don't,
weird
you can't
calculation
cope with
thing.
maths, and therefore you do things with
I
like
mean, you
a
can
pen.
call it crappy, but it is rough. When you do something on the fly, Philip spent several hours going through his mathematics and putting something together that he could present. He presented it, and on the fly, during a live show, Ranty quickly slapped something
Yeah.
together to test it on
And
the
he got it
fly.
wrong.
And then once the
My-
show was over, because we
Hold on
were
a
over
second.
time anyway, we'd had 2 hours. He'd done it, but just didn't get time to present it at the end. You chewed out too much time, unfortunately, Rumpus. So I said, well, you've got it. Do you want to just do it straight away? So immediately after the show, he just presented what he'd put together on the
One second,
fly
Nathan.
during a live
Interrupt,
show
please.
to challenge somebody.
Interrupt, please.
It was
My
rough.
dinner's here. I'll be back in 2
And
minutes.
I got it right. I did the maths on the fly, and I showed what the flat Earth model.
Guess what?
predicts.
Your
Didn't
math
do the
is
maths
wrong.
on the fly.
Just
You see,
laugh
there we go.
it up.
Oh
It
my
is.
God.
It really is.
You reject
When you actually
trigonometry,
measure it
Arwen, do
out
you?
with visible
You
measurements,
reject trigonometry, do you,
you
Arwen?
can see.
Sorry,
My math
Rumpus,
is
when you did it on the fly...
Very
Let
visible.
me just ask, sorry,
Your
Arwen,
math
can I just,
is just a
Arwen,
bunch of
can I just ask
calculations.
Rumpus one
It
quick
Oh
question?
my God! Can you listen to this guy? He's
Arwen,
rejecting
I just want to ask
trigonometry.
Rumpus a very quick
Unbelievable.
question. When you did it on the fly, Rumpus, was
Yeah.
your model to scale?
Yes. No, the maths.
It wasn't to scale. Oh, we can completely disregard yours then if it wasn't to scale.
Mine wasn't.
If it wasn't to scale, like your argument when you came in and built up that little straw man against Ranty. So we can completely disregard your model if it wasn't to scale then, can't we?
My model wasn't based on the drawing. My model was based on the maths. That what I drew was irrelevant.
Yeah, your maths is based on the drawing though, isn't it? So you've done a model on the fly and you haven't managed to scale it.
But I didn't try. It's not a scale model.
Oh, right. Like Ranty's wasn't a scale model.
It was. He was claiming that was how he was basically
you haven't
drawing
proved
the
that
lines.
yet. You haven't proved it. You said you're going to go and get a reference where he says it's a scale model. But you haven't got that.
It had to be a scale model.
He was. Yeah, go and get it. Go and prove what you've asserted then. Go and get it where he says it.
The point is he came to the wrong conclusion.
He hasn't come to the wrong conclusion. There's absolutely nothing in this. And yes, he made a minor error when putting it into a zoomed out picture in Paint on the fly after a live show when he was debunking something that was pre-prepared by Philip. So yes, he made a tiny error by about 1 millimeter. If it had zoomed right into the top of that angle, he wouldn't have made that error. And I'm absolutely certain that he would concede that if he was here. Go, yeah, I missed by about 1 millimeter when I put my line in. And it does make a difference. When you're talking about fine measurements, I agree with you, Rumpus. It does make a difference. That's why we spent several hours, Arwin, myself, Anthony, and Chris, all spent ages modelling it out for hours on end to see how much difference it really made. Because when you look at it in mathematical terms, it's deceiving too. When you have this compounded drop figure added onto that mountain, it makes a big difference front on with the maths. But when you stick it on a model, it's a totally different ball game. And you see, there's nothing in it. Literally nothing in it. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You can argue it that it's a big, massive deal, but you can see it on screen, so can the audience. These mountains are basically the same bloody height. One might be 1 millimeter lower, one might be 1 millimeter higher, but we're talking, as you put it, in pixels. It's tiny.
But the flat Earth model predicts there will be a significant difference. When you zoom in with a P900,
no, it does not.
Difference is a big difference.
There isn't.
I've
seen it. Okay, well, you can assert this if you like. You can try and assert it as much as you like.
Rumpus, mirror the maths.
Sorry? I'm showing the maths now.
Yeah. It's really nice, your maths, but visuals say something else. So,
right, there's two things.
I want to say it again. Owen, say what you said again, please.
Yeah, the visuals say something else.
Yeah, the
math.
Yes.
The flat Earth math, yes.
Correct.
No, what we see every day.
The photo contradicts the flat Earth math. Can you guys
visuals that includes
is this to scale? Sorry, Rumpus. Is this to scale?
The diagram is wrong.
This is definitely wrong. You're right. No, this is definitely not to scale. I'm going to take this off screen. You know, I agree with you, Rumpus. You shouldn't really be presenting stuff that's not to scale. So yeah, terrible example, Rumpus. Thank you for agreeing, Ruhif. But yeah, scale stuff in future, please, Rumpus. Scale, like Philip did. You know, when he zoomed out and showed it to scale. Very good.
Can you scroll down, Rumpus?
You're an idiot, Nathan. If you think that's in any way relevant to the
this was your straw man. Let me just point out that I am using now the exact straw man that Rumpus used when he came in, and he's calling me an idiot. Yeah, it's your straw man, idiot. Your straw man. Hello, McFly. I'm using your straw man. Even my kid's laughing at you, you idiot. Even my kid is laughing at you, Rumpus. You are a buffoon. I've just used your own straw man against you.
The bit down to your picture. Yeah.
My picture. Yeah. Arwen, where is that yellow line? Can you tell me what number it points to?
20 and a half. No. It's actually
if the 20 would be at 2,000 feet, then your yellow line would be pointing at 2,250 feet.
Wrong.
Yeah, you're a fucking moron, Owen. Seriously.
You're wrong, Owen. Sorry.
Really? You need to swear for that? Well, I'm not wrong. I'm actually
You are wrong. You've got the scale wrong,
20,
Owen. Sorry.
20 out of 20? You think the 20 is pointing at something else than 2,000 feet?
What's the 21 mean?
Over there?
The 21's
What does 21 mean on
2100.
that scale?
So he's got it in the right place, Arwen. He's made.
Oh, wait.
Arwen he has made a mistake. When Ranty's put the line in, he's gone, oh shit, I've missed.
2100.
Arwen, he knows.
Very good.
Ranty knows already that he's missed when he's put that line in. He's missed by a couple of mil.
Yes.
And when
And
you
when
zoom
he
in like
misses,
this, obviously you
that
can
puts-
tell from the picture we're zoomed in to where Ranty was typing in. He typed in the wrong value as well on the fly. He put 2027, not 2037. So he's made a couple of mistakes when he's done this on the fly. And when you zoom in like we've done here, you can see that mistake. He has missed. He has got it wrong. The scale's not wrong, but he's missed with his line. So yeah, I mean, he would concede it as well, Arwen. If he was here, I've had this conversation with him.
More on Arwen.
I had to do exactly the same thing. So after the fact, I've taken a screen grab of the 8-minute show, and then I've done exactly the same thing. I've zoomed in and gone, oh, yeah, he has missed a bit. Whoops. But that's the way it goes when you do something on the fly. I don't feel that he's intentionally tried to deceive or he's deliberately made an error.
No,
It's just
he's just a moron.
it's not. No. It's not even a moronic mistake. When this is zoomed out to the scale that he drew it on, and he's dropped a line when he's doing it quickly on the fly, you do make mistakes by the millimeter. You know, it's not like he's made a massive glaring error. He hasn't.
He has.
He hasn't. It makes he's made a 1% error. You pointed this out earlier, and I'm not going to say it doesn't make a difference. It does. Ruhif's correct. His line is more accurate on this scale. So yeah, I'm not going to say it doesn't make a difference. It does.
Maths? Because he can't, of course, because he's a moron.
Oh God, Rumpus! There's no need for the ad homs. If he was
There
here,
is, because he's you and your people and people like
there's
Arwen.
no need. There's just no need for it. Yeah, he's made a mistake, and when you zoom in on these scales, when things are this close, you can see that he's made a very small error, and it does make a difference. He would concede it if he was here, but it does not because he's a moron. It's because when he's drawn a line, this was considerably smaller. It's a much more zoomed out picture that he's working with. So it's not that he's a moron.
Nathan,
He's just dropped a line in on the fly and missed by a millimetre. It's not a millimetre when you zoom in. It becomes 4 or 5 millimetres when you zoom in. Well, yeah. If he was at this scale when he drew the line, he'd have probably got it absolutely spot on. He didn't. And I'm sure he'd concede his minor error. But it's not a glaring mistake. And it doesn't make such a massive difference.
It's the determining factor in the whole debate.
I agree, but it's such a tight margin, Ruhif. It's not like we're talking about hundreds of feet here. We're talking about 70 feet difference on 2,000 feet of mountain. We're talking about 70-foot difference on 2,000 foot of mountain. I agree. Where he put his line in makes that much difference. But when you're talking about 70 feet difference with mountains that are 2 or 3 miles apart and several thousands of feet tall, then you're talking about tiny margins of error. That does not make Ranty an idiot. All it makes Ranty is a little bit careless. He could have zoomed in when he did this on the fly. He didn't. You've zoomed in after the fact and gone, he's a moron. No, he isn't. He's made a tiny error. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully for sharing this live debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!